Hello everyone, welcome to the Hajim Becoming series, where we explore deep truths and the principles that will enable you to become everything you're meant to be, to do, and to have. My name is William Awana. I'm not here alone, I'm here with my very lovely co-host who decided to wear blue just so that she could match with me.
Always a nice time being with you, having conversations that will drive homegrown solutions and of course bear what our young entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs are doing across the globe. Today we are going to be talking with two young women, very driven, amazing stuff they're doing right here in Africa. And so we're going to just listen to them and then get to see what that looks like.
Excellent. So before we jump into that, one of our core objectives here at the Hajim Becoming series is to enable people, especially, see what we can do in Africa. Because if you take a view, a widespread view of the issues that are confronting the continent, you discover that a lot of it is centered around things like poverty, things like hunger, things like suboptimal living. And we're saying, hey, what are the things that we can do to help people, to assist people, or to groom people to develop solutions that will enable Africa and Africans surmount these problems?
And of course, drive social impact, engineering, entrepreneurship, and innovation across various sectors of the economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one of the key things that I especially like to take people on is the question of vision and innovation, right? Because if you take a look throughout human history, every time the warp changed, every time that we propelled ourselves forward, it was always because somebody or some people had visionary thinking. They thought in a particular way. They decided to implement things that they had in their imaginations. And by doing that, they were able to move the fabric of society forward. So if you're going to be a business leader in any shape, way, or form, you need to have innovative thinking. But what exactly is innovation? Because when you tend to have these discussions with people, you ask them what their conclusion about innovation is. They usually tell you it's about bringing new things to the fore.
Okay.
And I have a different opinion, right? And I tell them that I don't think that's necessarily the case. Why? So let's take an example. When the jet airplane was first developed, or when man started to fly, right, through the Wright brothers, every part of the plane, or what became a plane, every part, every bit of it was already existing on the earth, right? So what changed? Why weren't the people in the first century who lived at that time able to build an airplane from existing material?
Wow.
The thing is that the people who eventually developed it thought in a different way. They had insight, and they discovered that by thinking in this way and by combining existing material together, they could come up with something. So when we say innovation, it's not about discovering something new. It's about using what you have, but being able to see it differently. The clothes that we're wearing, a lot of it comes from animal skins, right? So one person looks at a cow and just looks at a cow or at the most food. Yeah. Another person looks at the same cow and thinks, why don't I use the skin to develop something? So it's all a matter of how you think, how insightful you are, how visionary you are in your concepts and your thinking, and how you can use that sort of visionary thinking to solve existing problems. That for me is what real entrepreneurship is all about.
Amazing stuff there, because when we look at ideas around what we saw Virgin Galactic do also, and of course Jeff Bezos do, flying that air engagement, that tourism, space tourism engagement. They're not trying to say I want to build on Mars like Elon Musk, for an example. They were trying to say, can we go zero gravity? And that was an idea. And maybe many people thought that wouldn't work, but that worked because we had over 200,000 tourists decide to take on zero gravity. And pretty much like what he's saying is amazing, because I think one difference we see is deep thinking.
Yeah.
So you take a look at this and you say green. So how do you mix, what colors do you mix to have green? And so you begin to think and think and think, and then you come up with a solution. Or you do like guys who are stargazers, for an example, and then you're sticking on that whole thing and you're like, why is this thing not changing? When will it change? What time? What do I do to make humanity move forward in terms of technology?
Exactly.
What technology do I apply, for an example, to get it a bit better? So, some time back, we thought Google would be the deal, for an example. But now we see Chat GPT, and then we're going a bit very precise and concise, and AI is becoming very volatile. And so someone is thinking, but the thing is, are you thinking? Everyone is thinking, but are you thinking? What are you going to be making from heights and skins and every other thing? So I think that's what it is. I love that perspective of innovation, because everyone feels that you got to come from nowhere. But you can take what you have and just make it better and make it easy for us to use, and that's beautiful.
Exactly.
That, innovation is big.
So before we bring in our guests to have a discussion with us, you made a very important point about technology, right? And again, when I'm having conversations with entrepreneurs or business operators, and we're talking about technology, what exactly is technology? Because the pervasive thinking around technology is that it's all about machinery and computers and all of that. And I tell them no. What you're talking about is information technology, which is only one aspect of technology.
Absolutely.
So what is technology? Technology is anytime man decided to come up with something that made his time here on Earth fundamentally better. So if you go back to human history and you discover when we started using fire, right? Fire is technology. Right? When we moved from using bows and arrows to fight our wars to using guns were a form of technology.
Absolutely.
Right? So anytime you're thinking again innovatively and you decide, okay, this is the way things have always been, right? But why don't we do this? Why don't we try this? Why don't we try this other form? You are bringing technology into the mix.
Absolutely.
Now you can use the tools that are prevalent in your era or whatever it is to sort of propel that. But fundamentally, technology begins with how you think, not necessarily what you do.
So how you think, it is how you think. So what is inside your mind is very important. How you power your mind is really very important if you're going to move that narrative forward. If you're going to take us from building on Mars to now building on Jupiter and Venus and Saturn, and then we going global on that whole thing.
And all the best to you.
And all the best. Right now, we're going right into the conversation. We have great entrepreneurs who are driving homegrown solutions. We have Eduem George on the saddle today, and we also have what I call her Z's Foods. Straight to the point, Z's Foods. You know what I'm saying? She's got great stuff she's doing, and we'd like to know more about what you're doing. You have 9 products. How did you get? How does this even happen?
Well, actually, thank you for this opportunity. I love food. Not just food, but good food. So even while I'm eating, there's a spoon in my mouth. I'm like, curry, pepper, and that's rosemary, that is. So I'm already calculating what makes up that meal. So with that on the side, and then first of all, I'll give credit to my dad. He exposed me to cooking early and preserving of food. So even while I moved over to the university, traveling, I got to know what's going on in the south, what's going on in the east. For example, our gari. I prefer Akwa Ibom gari to that of the east and that of Port Harcourt, to say. Not because they're not good, but because ours is very dry. We take our time to dry it very well, so it stays longer and you're enjoying it. But yes, based on their own culture, they do it, and before you know, you're buying it. Your mind then as a student, this should take me for a couple of time, right? But by the time you look back and it's so bad, it's painful. So then with experiences with other people, when you got talking, this one is coming from the west, brings Iru. This one I'm like, okay, I love to explore.
Great job.
Yeah, so with that, I got to know exactly what's going on. And then even when I graduated, I am home. So now see what's going on in the market, especially with the traders, what they do. For example, like our red chili and cumin pepper, they add salt to it just to increase the volume. So they can make more profits. But at the end of the day, it is detriment to our health. So I decided, actually, I started with selling of Gary, and then I went to rice. And I said, let me try spice. Now, spice in the sense that it is not supplied in this market, it is not supplied. First of all, in you, I just let me try it. And then I did that. The response I got from the red chili and cumin pepper was like, yeah, something's going on here. So over the years, I've been in business for the past 6 years now. So with time, I've come to see there are people actually who are looking for pure pepper, pure turmeric, pure ginger. It's like, just give it to me in its natural form. Don't mix it. So with that, I explored other products and everything. One of my mentors had to like calm down. I'm like, okay, I'll calm down. She said, I have something for yourself and stick to it. And then maybe you can still do the rest, but stick to this. I was like, okay. I started to go into spice and oil.
Wow. Wait, why don't you say that?
Yes.
Look at that.
This ginger.
Wow.
And then as
turmeric, can you help me with that? Yeah.
Okay, no. This is Cameroon pepper.
Wow.
This is paprika.
So why do you call it Cameroon pepper?
That is the funny part of it. I don't know why I grew up to know Cameroon pepper.
To hear it that way, yeah.
So and then there's this unique thing about it. The name sells for itself. It says that Cameroon pepper is hot.
Absolutely.
So the first thing is that you sure it is Cameroon pepper? Yes, it is. So when they get to use it, they're like, hey, this is what I know it for, Then
what do you have there?
This is paprika, what we know as tatache.
Okay, all in one.
Yeah, this is red chili, and
okay, so the idea was just give me the pure form of it in a singular frame, rather than mix it like all
those.
that kind of thing. And then you get to use it for your different types of stuff. Yeah. So like the tatache and the cayenne pepper, known as shombo, I had to do this because of to reduce the farm loss, post-harvest loss as it is.
Yeah.
So there are people that, for example, there'll be a time you would see fresh tatache
in the market. That's right.
We're getting to that period. So now you get to enjoy this in its dry form anytime throughout the year. So that's the innovative part of it. So while trying to solve the problem of getting it from farmers, there are a lot of people, there's a loss of farm produce and all of that. So I said to like, okay, why you're selling to those who are retailing, can I have for production?
Great.
Making it available now in dry form. So in all of this spice thing is actually what made me go into this herbal tea. This is made up of pure thyme and mint leaf. It's good for the body, for both male and female. It helps to relax the nerves, reduces for women in particular.
What's that?
This is Ijebu Gari.
Okay, so this is another one there.
Yes, another one there, yeah. So you get to, for the tea, for the women, if you're in your menstrual pain and everything, it helps to relax in its natural.
The oil.
From the oil. No, we're proud of this. We are proud of this.
Wow. So your journey, I'm looking at all of this, and one thing comes to mind, and you want to look at the fact that how turmeric was used some years back. It's not the same way it's used now.
Yes.
And obviously in packaging what you did, because I've seen that you've gone through the process of registration with NAFDAC and then SON and all of that. I'm seeing a lot of licensing there with your NAFDAC number, and that means you've gone very far, and that means obviously you drive exports relations and all of that.
Yes.
Okay, so it looks pretty good, but can you tell us about that journey of discovery? Because that journey of discovery is what what you would have to letter when you're doing your licensing. That what is different from this other one? What is what uses? What are the benefits? For an example, of putting turmeric now, thyme. You're now doing thyme and mint leaf, right?
Yes.
So it's like mint leaf is like some lovely stuff we have here, and most of the times we use it for rice and stew and the rest of that, and seasoning outrightly, but this time you're saying tea, so can you give us a broad way framing on that journey, that discovery journey?
Let's start with this. Back in the days, let's put it this way, before we got into medicine in tablets and all of that, if we want to really be sincere with ourselves, it is actually the herbs, the spices that they were using and surviving on. So I'm not disputing the fact that we can't use the tablets and whatever, but can we go back to the natural, as in more of like, this is the natural form, it's not adulterated, nothing, it's still it's pure, it solves the whole thing, and then because of thanks to those who went ahead first of all to innovate the herbal thing, that gave way to us to sit down and put one or two things together. Like already I'm on something else, making use of honey, ginger and turmeric. I'm still working on it.
Wow, discovery journey.
So I'm still working on it to perfect in terms of how to present it to the public, actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah, how to present it to the public for people to use, consumption and all of that, but not because I can't use it. I'm using it personally, but I have to think of it in a better way.
You have a lot of enterprise energy. Having to do all of this, someone would actually think that what you should be looking out for is the structuring. I mean, in terms of, do you have a farm that does pepper? Do you have a farm that does thyme?
Yeah.
Do you have a farm that does so those are the kind of questions that are in my mind concerning what you're doing.
Well, for now, how I've been able to achieve this so far is that before I began this, even while in the journey, I had to search for the farmers directly now, especially in the north. So I was able to achieve that one-on-one contact. So there's no middleman. So it's more of like, it is I, Joy, that needs this thing from you. Please, I want this. Because apart from that, there are different species.
Okay.
So, and then there are different practices in the farming. So I want the ones that gives me what I want because of my customers. And my name is on the line.
Wow.
Joy, I know you for this. Please
She's
don't. Please, you've changed or something, but I don't want that to happen. So far for the palm oil, what I've been able to do is that I don't have the meal for myself. So what I do is going to the village.
Love collaborations and partnerships.
Empower with the women as let me buy the fruits.
Wow.
Please do this for me. In turn, I'm paying them money. So they mill the oil for me. I check it is what I want for my consumers, for my customers. So that's how I've been able to maintain that.
Great. Obviously, you have a lot of teams. I mean, a lot of people working with you on this.
So with time, gradually, as we're growing, definitely is to acquire to rent more farmlands, like for the palm fruit, where we can harvest and all of that to ours, and then have our own plantation. But for now, we're just doing what we have.
Great job.
Impacting not just about us.
So for me, two key things stand out, because I was listening to her very keenly, and I'm just replaying a lot of things, a lot of previous conversations I've had with entrepreneurs, right? And one of the issues that we're frequently having, because when we're talking about business operations, the focus tends to be, okay, I have this product, I have this service that I want to deploy to the market. I want to sell it at X value, and I want to get Y in return, right? But most of them are not thinking strategically, which is what I'm perceiving that she's doing.
Absolutely.
First of all, because in strategy, when we're talking about strategy, there's something called unique positioning.
Yeah.
Right? Because the prevalent thinking is, okay, I want to have the best product. I want to have the best service, right?
Beautiful,
but best, what is best? Best is relative. What is best for me can't be what is best for her, right? So rather than positioning yourself to say, I want to be the best, rather leverage on, I want to be unique. Now, what is that thing in the product or in the service that I'm offering that allows me to position myself as a unique entrepreneur? Because that's the value that you're giving to people. So that's the first thing, which I want to really enjoin all the entrepreneurs out there, especially if you're new or you're aspiring. This is the way to think.
This is the way.
The second thing I picked up is the concept of value chain, which is another thing that we don't tend to think about as seriously as we should, right? So we talked about, okay, what is in your mindset about getting to it at source, because the major companies, they have colonized, if I should use that word, the entire value chain.
Absolutely.
They have the farm, they have the
Exactly.
factory, they have all the way to the market.
Absolutely.
Right? But most of us are concentrated around, a product, which in reality is a derivative that is coming up from something. So if you don't own that source, you'll be stuck in middleman phase or middleman mode. And anything that happens from the consumer end or from the manufacturing end can squeeze you out. So value chain analysis, strategic thinking, unique value propositions are always
very
key when you're thinking about.
And I really must, commend the fact that you've been able to drive a strategy around the connected economy, which is what is really important in what you're doing, and the variant frames of being able to explore varieties, as it were, and also decide to mix on the go, and commodity exchange stays a big game in the market trend, for fast moving consumer goods, and the rest of the frames. So for when you look at what happened between Egypt and Rome, sometime back in history, you want to look at the fact that that transaction was clearly about commodity exchange.
Yes.
You understand? So, like you said, you grew up to hear Cameroon pepper. It's like, can't we put it together and start exchanging? So we have a lot of afang. Where do we own afang?
Yeah.
These are the questions you want to ask. So when did we own afang? Where is it found more? You understand? So these are the things that you want to look at when you talk about commodity exchange. This is big. What you have as variety today is really big for commodity exchange. And even if you were to do mixed spices, like put all of them together, it still look good in that whole thing. And that, like I said, for Egypt was a big game changer for them sometime back in history. So going right back to the second woman. Today we're getting a bit partial. Is it partial? I don't want to be partial to do that. It's just because I believe, like Maya Angelou said sometime back, that at some point it wouldn't really be about if you're a woman. No, I don't like that whole thing of give it to me because I'm a woman. No, give it to me. Make me own my stage. Let me in on my stage, because I'm giving you what it's supposed to be. I have a lot of capacity. I have homegrown solutions, and I'm serving. So don't do it because I'm a woman. So that's not the seat we're on today. We're on a seat where we have women who have decided to take on that whole thing, and they are moving in that energy to be able to drive these solutions.
And also to quickly add to that, I don't know if you recall, we were at a conference sometime about
African Women Impact Summit,
right? And there was something very amazing. One of the guest panelists said, right, that you can't drive a car operating on only two wheels.
Absolutely.
You need all four wheels. So like if you're only focusing on male entrepreneurs or the male segment, right, you're only bringing half your strength to bear to the battle. Leverage all the opportunities. Leverage everybody who has ideas, male, female, whatever it is, because it's going to take all of us to.
And coming back to that, you're looking at the fact that Africa stands on one foot invariably, like right now. If it's its framing is around lack of political participation for the women, economic involvement for the women, etc. Because when you come right down to policy implementation and policy engagement, you're looking at the fact that the women take on a lot more, a lot more of that social impact frame, whether in the markets, whether in the MSME sector, for an example, and etc. What you see is the women, and you have a population that is women reading, and so if you don't decide to explore the potentialities of those women and allow that happen, you are shooting yourself in the foot. So I think it's time that when we had the Business Women Summit in Lagos too, we looked at the fact that the digital space now gives the average woman that power that they advocated for some years back, basically. So we go right back to Edu M. George. Edwin George has a lovely, lovely idea. Do you know about the idea? Can you imagine the idea? The idea is like a global idea. Oh my God, look at that. It's like an idea for the government should actually, prefer. Can you tell us about it?
All right, thank you so much. I am very excited to be here. My absolute pleasure. Once again, my name is Edwin George, and I am a nurse. I believe I was born for this because yes, if I had to choose what to do again, it would be nursing. I find a lot of satisfaction. I find a lot of fulfillment in the interactions that I have with the people that I serve. I got to know that every human being is a community. And so meeting one person gives you access to very many other people, and interacting with them at that level, giving them the value, the respect that they deserve, also develops you, also helps you to do better what you do. And so I represent Virtue's Touch Care Homes, and the maternity, it is a service for the elderly. When people think elderly, they think very vulnerable, fragile people. But in a short while, in about 10 years, as projected, we're going to have a lot of people, over 23% of our population, 65 years and above. With technology, with civilization, with better way of doing things, we are seeing that people are going to live even longer, because the solutions that we all bring together makes life easier. That's the goal. The idea of driving technology, of driving civilization, of driving solutions is to make what we used to do with difficulty easier, and to reach out to more people. And so these solutions together have made the use of human energy very minimal. These days we talk about critical thinking, we talk about creativity, and that doesn't necessarily need a lot of muscle or physical strength, which are the stressors that reduce our lifespan. Yes, initially sub-Saharan Africa had their lifespan projected at 55 years. And that was because we did everything almost manually. We drove everything manually. We produced manually. We brought physical strength to everything we did. But now with machinery and mechanized way of doing almost everything, we see that we don't need physical strength anymore, and so we are living longer. The results, people don't wait to 65 years to retire. People can make the best out of their lives at their primes and actually retire early. That means that they have a later part of their lives that they live even better than they began. And so with people living longer, the family has a lifespan. A family, as we have studied, is in stages. Initially, the man and the woman comes together, then there are children, and then as development goes on, the children grow up into their various endeavors. They have their careers, their families, and every other thing to look after. So that means that the family at that stage is an empty nest. So the children that once were the community in the family, for every woman we know that we cook because of our children. We eat because of our children. Because I have an experience where my elderly people, they can't eat because they have to eat alone. And so at that point where the children leave home is where the debilitation, the deterioration with health comes in. And so the social isolation, which has as much impact to the mind, like drugs, like what addiction does, the isolation alone is enough to tear down the best of persons. And so interacting with the elderly in practice got me into the space that I saw that our elderly people needed more. They needed more. They needed more interaction. They needed more attention. And I thought about, I've had to lobby for an elderly person to stay 2 more weeks in the hospital. Yeah, she had surgery, and for the first time in a very long time, all her children were around about her. You know, everybody called, everybody came to see her, everybody, you know, the nurses were all about her. And so she told me, can I stay a little while longer? Can I stay here? And so I said, look, our hospitals are designed in such a way that we care for people in the critical phases, and once they begin to recover, we discharge them. So what happens to them when we discharge? You know, because we find people, you know, breaking down in convalescence, what is supposed to be a continuity of care. That is why in other climes they have social welfare, people that come from the hospital to follow up on people who were once inpatients. And so I told her, I said, home is better. And she said, look, let me tell you, there's nobody at home.
That's it. And so she was looking for an extension.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because she's never going to have those people, like, she's not going to have the people, the family.
That's right.
Everyone is going to go back to work.
Everybody's going to go back to work. Wow. And so she said, now I can find everyone around. Everyone wants to listen to me. And so I said, okay, I thought to myself, I should have a place that is a continuity of care from the critical phase that the hospital does. Because for mental health, for physical health, for all kinds of dimensions of medical care, if the follow-up period, if the follow-up stage fails, you have the person rebounding back into critical phase. So for the elderly, I thought I should have a community of people to look after the elderly. And our values about our elderly are not so good at the moment because of, you know, the controversy about what happens to them, especially for some of them that have compromised mental health. You know, they're speaking coherently, they act in certain ways, and the family, instead of coming together at that time to look after them, is actually staying away. And so these people are in a stage that they need even more care. So what my service does is to look after them. We bring them in a community or places where they meet like minds, where, you know, the gist from way back is different from what we will have now. And so you need to see them when they are engaged, when they are, you know, discussing things that matter to them. So what we do is to look after them. We also care for them at their homes, because for some of them, they are emotionally attached to their familiar environment. And so for those ones, we also provide care, but it has to be in partnership with somebody in the family who will carry on when we are not there. Yes. So I love what This Foods is doing. Absolutely. Because the humanity is in a brink. Literally, because of mechanization of several things, we have humankind have found a way to add things to what was natural. That means our dynamics of nutrition, of self-care, it isn't. It isn't. And so when she said she does this without additives,
that's amazing.
I think it's very beautiful. Because for the elderly, we find that aging the clock comes faster with exposure to artificial things. Yes, that is why, yes, that is why the deterioration, we are seeing young girls in their 20s with a lot of fibroid, with a lot of cancer, and all of this is a contamination. It's a strong word, but that is what it is. We don't have food in their natural forms, and so we are feeding toxicity daily. And so for the elderly, we see that taking them back to the natural, to healthy, as far as diet and medication is concerned, is the key thing that is needed to bring them back to optimal health. You'll be surprised to see a totally dependent elderly person in 2 weeks standing up again to do for themselves basic self-care. It's just a build up of what they have gotten in the period.
Great job, well done. You know, when I look at what she has today in this conversation, we're looking at a great outlook. It shows us that every person you see on the streets, every person you see out there has a lot inside. And if you just sit like this and ask them, what do you have? Everyone has a story and they have a solution they're bringing to bear. And so let's get right back. Let's get right back into a very strong conversation right now. what would you're just right here, what would you say, your solution would do with government partnerships and government partnership and private partnership outrightly, because what you're doing, if we can find social welfare policies, for the aged, from the governments, whether federal, whether states, it begins to take shape. I mean, that's what our United Nations and several other international bodies are up to. And of course we have the global goals, we have the SDG frames and all of that. So this is a human being, this is an individual, taking on this particular homegrown solution, which is beautiful. But I'd like for you to share what that partnership with governments, whether states or federal, and partnership with private partners who have allied causes and frames like you, and of course the third one, policy making for social welfare in the country or the African continent, how this solution can be prorated on those frames.
So I have seen that the framework of this, I have come, there's a journey to this, there's a story to
Absolutely.
this. At the initial stage, I discovered I needed to care for them at their homes because they have special needs. Yes, framing policies around the elderly is an emergency. We need it. We have policies around children, we have policies around women, and other frames of healthcare. But for the elderly, we need to come together to put together a firm policy that will look after people at that bracket. I thought that we were going to have a census. It is going to be very revealing because a very significant part of our population are the elderly, and they have resources that we can harness. They become the bridge between what was and what is to come. They are very resourceful if we engage with them. And so I think that our elderly can be sustained long enough. We can build on what they've done to make what is to come. Okay, so beyond that, this endeavor is very, very capital intensive, in the sense that the facility that you house elderly people have to be adapted. They have special vulnerable needs. And you cannot risk a fall, for instance. You cannot risk an accident at any scale.
A fall, because some lady fell recently and then they almost had to cut the leg off.
Absolutely. So yes,
surgery.
Yes.
Just to restore her.
That's right. So what was supposed to be a solution can be a problem very quickly. There is nothing glamorous about this. It is a service-driven. It has a standard to it. So you have specific facilities at specific places to protect them, just like we would have a daycare for children. In this case, their toilet facilities are adapted differently, their bedrooms are adapted differently, their bathrooms, their floors, for instance, the lighting, for instance. So all of this requires a partnership. I have gone into talks in need of collaboration, because I am open for this. If I can have the life to see how elderly people will be cared for, I think I'll be satisfied. We need private partnership, we need government partnership. If they provide facilities, if they provide funding to set things in order, this is going to up the service that we're going to be able to provide. Yes, and it's going to drive a whole new level of employment. We have young people that we currently train to be caregivers. Caregiving is a different kind of endeavor. So we do not need people who are in there just for money. If you are in there for money, you'll be a problem. And so we have to train people, expose them to the values that matter to us, and then let them into the field to do this. And so these certificates in caregiving, they can use them anywhere outside of the country. So we are also empowering young people to get into this and to drive their lives from there. So
don't go away. We're still right here at the Hajj and Becoming series. your TV series where we explore deep truths, deep insights on homegrown solutions, and of course, what people are doing around innovation, entrepreneurship, and across a sector, a variant sector frame that would help people, get better, get inventive, get innovative, and help people move a notch higher. So we're going right back into one big thing before we stop by to see what our model mentor has for us this episode. In this episode, I know he's on standby, and so we'll be looking right into the Zoom session to know exactly what we have for this particular episode. But just before you go right into that, back to you. Time tea mixer. So now time tea mixer. That's a lovely name though. Z's Food. Time tea mixer. Oh my God, that's an amazing concept. Oh, tell us about time tea. Time tea. How does it? What are the benefits?
Okay.
And what is going forward? What is the outlook for you in terms of partnerships, government partnerships? Private persons, individuals who would like to explore commodity markets?
Okay, so far so good. Based on the level at which we are right now, we are open for investors, for partnership, be it individual or government, because the truth of the matter is there's a lot of food waste going on in the country as a whole. So if we are able to explore more farmers, not just from one certain area of the country, but from other places, and then we're able to harness them, aggregate them into groups, clusters.
That's a revealing one there.
Yeah.
Food waste.
Waste.
Can you tell us about that?
Okay, for example, now over here in Europe, if you go into the market, you'll be amazed about the basket of oranges you see, because they could not sell.
And tomatoes in the north. Wow.
So even from the local farmers here as well, because of what? The buying power is not there for people to buy it fresh. So that is where we come in now, to buy them without us okay, you sent some to the market, can we have this rest?
That's revealing again. So storage becomes an issue and processing becomes an issue.
Yeah, so storage is a problem, processing is also a problem, because in processing, we are looking at the capacity of the machines to start with. So if you don't have a bigger capacity, so even if you get what you want from the farm, it would have to take you a couple of days to achieve what you want at the end of the day. So you still have waste.
Oh gosh.
So we are open for that, for investors and all of that, so as to enable us to expand now our reach in terms of harnessing all the natural things we have from the farmers, reduce the food waste, convert it to table, and then not just for the people to walk into the supermarket to access this, but for other people in the market too, in the sense of making them in sachet forms. Because we've penetrated that, we've tested that, and so they are waiting for that actually. So make them available in sachet form, and we are ready to have it.
Wow, if we're going to be on this table to talk about this whole thing, then we have to dissect manufacturing, production, processing, packaging, pricing,
business models,
market strategy. Oh my God, that's a lot. That's a lot.
We've done
in transportation also.
Yeah, so we've looked at all that sector, and we are okay, what we're waiting for is just the money. We've done that, we've done our research, we've done the planning, we've documented it. Okay, this is how we're going to do. If this comes in, this will solve this, solve that. Like that, connected. But at the end of the day, the truth is, people are going to be employed.
Great.
Money's coming back.
Great.
To the youths, to use. We're engaging them. Not just the youths, even the women in the village, as I said, for the palm oil. For those who even want to go back into farming, there's somebody out there that needs my products. Let me, farm for her and for any other person.
Okay, let's get right back into this now. Firstly, we are looking at Africa now. So it looks like we have a very big issue here.
Yep.
And it looks like we have institutional voids across all sectors. And so we know that these steps you're taking is going to just move us further, and we need more people, driving these solutions across sectors. If you sit there and drive processing problems and drive solutions around manufacturing, around power, around brand trust, around packaging, logistics.
Yes.
So, as we're talking, I was just listening to, these very amazing conversations, and the critical issue that kept replaying in my mind was, how come so many great ideas are not seeing the light of day? Right now, if you take an example, Facebook, why was Facebook successful? Not many people know that for the first 7 years of their existence, Facebook didn't record a single dime in revenue, but they were able to pay salaries to operate and all of that because they have this industry of venture capital. Now,
So the VCs,
the way things operate over there in Europe and America is quite different. Right? Because if someone drops the ball on, say, funding, there are 10,000 other people to pick it up.
who are
So
able.
you can't even lose money, as it were. Right? But here we live in one of the very few locations on earth where we actually develop real liquid capital, because there are people in this continent that can fund these things without even blinking an eye. But for their mentality, right, as investors tends to be either into the capital market, right, or offshore. Very few people are looking inward. So that is one of the key things that I think needs to change, and needs to change very quickly, if we're going to be able to develop our own homegrown solutions. Because at the end of the day, this is our continent, this is our home.
What do you think?
Fantastic. I think that conversations like this will bridge the gap, the knowledge gap between what you're saying and what is. What I do, for instance, is the 21st. This is where money from healthcare will come from.
Absolutely.
In the next decade, we'll see that care homes and care for people with disability will drive the revenue that an entire sector, will see. We'll see.
So not just meditourism, but caregiving.
That's
is
right.
a big deal. Of course, that's what we're seeing in individualistic natures. Thank you very much, then, for having us today. It's been an amazing conversation with this time tea mixer, Z's Food, and this wonderful person. She's an amazing entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
She's an amazing. She's got a lot of energy.
Absolutely.
I can feel the energy right now.
Yes.
And then we have Duane George today doing an amazing job in
Thank you very
caregiving,
much.
giving us the advanced level of caregiving or Medicare or medical business, as it were. It's amazing. What do you have to say?
I was totally blown away by not just the ideas, but also the quality of the conversations. Because it's one thing for entrepreneurs to have an idea. It's quite another for them to be able to articulate that idea. Because that articulation, most of the time, goes a long way into getting people to come on your side. If you can't articulate your idea, then why should I
can't buy it.
why should I invest
Absolutely.
into you? So the quality of your conversations as entrepreneurs for you out there is almost as important as your idea in itself. You can have a visionary idea, a great idea, but if you can't articulate it properly, you can't reach the right ears.
So one word from Z's Food to they need your energy. Can you tell them exactly what it is?
Okay, for the upcoming, inspiring, existing entrepreneurs, don't be moved by what's going on in the world, in the sense that don't be discouraged that I've not started, nobody's seeing me, nobody's knowing me. As far as it is your idea, it is what you believe in, and you know that this is going to solve a problem, keep at it. People are actually watching. That's the truth, and that has been my story, and that should also be your story. I'm saying this, keep at it, you will get there.
Thank you very much. Duane George.
Thank you very much. I find service synonymous with humanity. Let's come back to humanity. Let's bring the kindness. Let's lend a hand. Let's give our elderly people few more years to stay with us. Let's make use of the value that they have in them so that we can go even higher. Thank you very much.